We have a keyword in Python called return. It can be incorporated in our function in the place of the print function or placed there alongside it. In the first line of code, we'll create our function called book, and inside the parentheses, we'll have a predefined parameter called name. So we'll give a string of John Doe to our parameter called name. Then we have colon. So our second line of code will have 4 empty spaces, indentation before the if statement. So we have if, our parameter name, the equality operator, and a string of John Doe. Then of course colon again. So our third line of code will have 4 empty spaces, indentation before the return keyword is placed there. Then our fourth line of code will have our print function, and inside the parentheses of the print function we have a string of additional information. Now in our fifth line of code we will invoke our function called book. So when we invoke our function called book, we'll go to the second line of code automatically, and we will ask a question: does parameter name equal to a string of John Doe? As the answer is yes, it will go to the return keyword, and our return keyword, as we have nothing placed after the return keyword, it's an empty expression, so our function will display nothing on our screen. However, it will stop its execution. Now, if we were to replace our parameter, for example, with a string of a, and again invoke our book function, as it will go to the second line of code and we'll ask Python, does parameter name equal to a John Doe string? The answer will be no. So it will skip the return keyword, third line of code, it will go to the fourth line of code, and we will have additional information displayed on our screen. So again, this is how a return keyword can be incorporated and placed inside our function. This time we'll use only the return keyword inside our function. So in the first line of code we create our function called book, and inside the parentheses we have a predefined parameter called name. So a string of John Doe will be assigned to our parameter called name. Then we have colon. So our second line of code we have indentation before the if statement. So we have if name, the equality operator, and a string of John Doe, then colon. So our third line of code will of course have indentation. Then return keyword will have string next to it. So we have name of our book is indeed John Doe. So in the first line of code, when we invoke our function called book, it will go to the second line of code. It will ask Python if name is indeed equal to John Doe. The answer is yes. So it will go to the third line of code, and our return keyword will return the following string. Name of our book is indeed John Doe. Now, when the return keyword is used inside the function, we have to store it inside a variable. If not, the value will be lost. So again, when we invoke, name of our book is returned. So the string is returned. Then we store it inside a variable. Then we use the print function, and the following text, name of our book is indeed John Doe, will be displayed on our screen. So again, this is how the return keyword operates when it's only solely placed inside the function. Now there's another way, for example, for our value not to be lost of the return keyword. So we can just inside the print function place book function as an argument. So when the function is invoked, the return value will be displayed by the print function. So we have two ways: first placing it into a variable and then using the print function, or just straight using the print function to display the following.